it. Let's talk about a story that feels like it was written for our time, even though it's thousands of years old. It's a story about how your worst moments can become your greatest strengths. Imagine it's the year 2025, in a massive crowded city where everyone is just trying to survive. There's a young man named Joseph. He's quiet but gifted. While his brothers are focused on the daily grind, Joseph is different. He dreams bigger. He talks about visions of success, of making a real impact, of having a life filled with purpose. His father sees this in him. He recognizes Joseph's discipline, his honesty, and his incredible potential, and he doesn't hide his favoritism. But this favor, meant as a blessing, quickly becomes a curse. To his brothers, Joseph's light casts a shadow that makes them feel invisible. Every time their father praises Joseph, it feels like an insult to them. Every dream Joseph shares sounds like arrogance. And over time, their brotherly love twists into jealousy. That jealousy hardens into a deep, cold hatred. One night, they see their chance. They trick Joseph, telling him they're all going on a family business trip. He trusts them, of course. But instead of a business deal, they abandon him in a remote area. They take his phone, wipe his digital identity, and sell him into a human trafficking ring specializing in illegal labor. By the next morning, Joseph has vanished. His family is told he's gone, and his brothers keep their dark secrets. Joseph wakes up in a foreign country, a world away from everything he's ever known. He has no passport, no money, and no way to contact anyone. His freedom, his dignity, his choices all stolen. He is now a slave, a ghost in the system, forced to work for a wealthy corporate executive who runs a global empire of businesses. Joseph's days are filled with endless, grueling labor. He's cleaning, lifting, managing logistics, the kind of work that breaks a person's body and spirit. But here's where Joseph's story takes its first turn. He never complains. He never steals, even when he has nothing. He never, ever gives up. Despite the agony of his betrayal and the hopelessness of his situation, he performs every task with excellence. This isn't just another faceless laborer. This is someone special. Joseph is promoted. He goes from scrubbing floors to managing entire operations for the executive's household and businesses. The executive, protecting his own reputation, doesn't hesitate. Joseph is fired, arrested, and thrown into prison. In a flash, he goes from a position of trust and authority back to chains. He has fallen even lower than before. Prison is a brutal, unforgiving place. It's loud, it's violent, and it's cold. The days are a monotonous blur, and they stretch into years. Around him, Joseph watches as other men lose their minds, their hope, their very humanity. It's a place designed to crush the human spirit. And there are nights, many of them, when Joseph cries silently in his cell. He wrestles with the question that would break most of us. Why? Why does his life keep falling apart every time he tries to do the right thing? It feels like a cruel joke. But even here, in the darkest pit, Joseph's character shines through. He doesn't let the bitterness consume him. Instead, he starts to help others. He listens to the stories of broken men. He offers advice where he can. He even starts interpreting their dreams, giving them glimmers of insight into their own futures, asking for nothing in return. He becomes a quiet source of stability in a world of chaos. But as more years pass, the world outside forgets him. Joseph, the dreamer, is just an inmate, a number lost to time. Then, one day, everything changes. The nation's most powerful leader, a figure like a president or a prime minister, starts having a series of disturbing dreams. These aren't just ordinary nightmares. They are vivid, recurring visions that deeply unsettle him. He summons the country's top experts, psychologists, analysts, even the most advanced AI systems, but no one can explain their meaning. The nation's leadership is in a state of quiet panic. Then someone remembers a former inmate. A man who once shared a cell with Joseph remembers the man who could interpret dreams. And just like that, Joseph is pulled from his cell in the middle of the night. He's brought before the most powerful person in the country. He's thin, exhausted, and scarred from his years in prison, but he stands tall. He listens carefully as the leader recounts the disturbing visions. And with a clarity that shocks everyone in the room, Joseph explains it all. The dreams aren't just random anxieties. They are a warning. They foretell a coming global crisis, a massive economic collapse, followed by unprecedented shortages of food and essential goods. But Joseph doesn't just deliver the bad news, he also lays out a brilliant, detailed plan to survive it. A strategy for stockpiling resources, managing supply chains, and guiding the nation through the coming storm. The leader is stunned. He doesn't just listen, he acts. He sees in Joseph not a former prisoner, but a leader of incredible wisdom and foresight. In a move that defies all logic and protocol, he promotes Joseph on the spot. In a single day, Joseph goes from inmate to the nation's crisis manager. He is put in charge of the entire country's economic recovery and survival plan. The same mind that once dreamed of a greater purpose as a boy is now responsible for saving millions of lives. Years pass, and the crisis hits just as Joseph predicted. The world is plunged into chaos. Economies collapse, famine spreads. But Joseph's nation, thanks to his plan, is prepared. It becomes a beacon of hope, a place where there is food and order. And one day, a group of desperate men arrives from a foreign land, begging for aid. They are brought before the great leader who is managing the food supply. And there, Joseph comes face to face with his past. It's his brothers. They are hungry, desperate, and humbled by the crisis. They don't recognize him. They bow before this powerful official, completely unaware that he is the brother they betrayed and left for dead all those years ago. In that moment, Joseph holds all the power. Revenge would be so easy. He could turn them away. He could expose them. He could throw them in prison and let them rot, but he doesn't. Looking at the men who caused him so much pain, he doesn't see enemies to be punished. He sees his family. And through tears, he reveals his identity. Not to shame them, but to save them. He tells them, what you meant for destruction, life has turned into purpose. He chooses mercy. This story teaches us so many powerful lessons for our own lives. First, your suffering is not wasted. Every hard season, every painful experience can be forging something in you that you will need later. Second, delays do not mean denial. Just because your dream hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Joseph waited for years in slavery and in prison, but his purpose was not denied. It was being prepared. Third, betrayal can be a bridge, not a dead end. The very act that was meant to destroy Joseph was the act that moved him to the place he needed to be to fulfill his destiny. Fourth, your integrity matters most when no one is watching. Joseph's commitment to doing the right thing in slavery and in prison is what preserved his character and prepared him for leadership. And finally, sometimes life has to strip everything away from you, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you into someone stronger, someone who relies on something deeper than temporary success or the approval of others. Joseph's story is a powerful reminder that your current chapter of pain is not the end of your book. What breaks you may actually be what is preparing you. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that explores these deep truths. See you in the next video.